Why didn't he do that his first 4 years, though? Why didn't he already do that? I can put the same question
because
back to
he
you.
was actually creating a foundation,
in 2018, the largest tax cut in modern American history.
And
he created such a good foundation that 92% of his advisors turned on him. All of his closest generals turned on him. He lost his vice president. What kind of person builds a foundation that they have to completely restart fresh their next administration? I mean, Brylan, can you tell me why Mike Pence isn't his VP anymore?
Adam, I appreciate you asking the questions, but I'm going to take the reins back since we're the hosts.
You guys are going to love this video. So I did a Gen Z debate on Newsmax this morning with the sole intention of spreading the word about VP Harris's policies and exposing Donald Trump's lack thereof. And I think that it worked. I mean, the host definitely cut me off. It definitely turned into a 3v1 at times, but that's fine. I expected that. I still achieved my end goal of spreading the word about Kamala Harris's policies and showing Trump doesn't have any at all. There's even a moment where I ask Brylan, the kid that I'm debating, can you name me a single policy that Trump has heading into 2024? And he yaps for a minute, doesn't name a single policy. Then I ask him the question again. I want you to pay attention because I ask him the question again. Then the host jump in and save his ass by saying he already answered multiple Trump policies when he didn't. I've watched it 3 times and they gaslight me in real time. You know, it's a 10-minute interaction. I'll jump in later on in the video. Make sure you drop a like. Make sure you subscribe. Drop some hearts to boost this video for me and let's jump in.
What are these platforms? What have they been saying over or communicating over the last 30, 60, 90 days to people who consumes that information regarding the border, the economy, and so forth? What's actually coming across to you guys?
Yeah, well, here's the thing. First of all, I like your suit. I wasn't talking about you in particular. But also, I want to respond to something Brylan said really quickly because I was at Trump's Madison Square Garden rally. I go to these rallies and I have very respectful conversations with Trump's biggest supporters. And there was one common theme among all of them, and it's that none of them can name a single economic policy from Trump. So when it comes to VP Harris, she has a housing plan for people like Brylan and I, first-time home buyers, so we get a tax incentive. When it comes to the child tax credit, a $6,000 child tax credit, not a giveaway, but an incentive for people to build families. Also an incentive for small businesses to start up with a tax deduction. And I don't know if this is loud, but I'd like to pose the question to Brylan. Can you name a single economic policy that Trump has for Gen Z? Just a single policy.
Well, first, let me say to that, why hasn't she done it? Why has she not encouraged
She's not the president?
The president. Yeah, well, she has lunch with the president at least once a week, hopefully more than once a week, and she could be encouraging these policies. She hasn't done that.
She's not Biden.
She's been on an economic task force at the White House. We've seen none of this. She hasn't offered to fix the broken economy that her administration has put in place. But for the second thing on that, the policy that you're evading, that was her very first economic rollout, is this thing of price caps and price gouging when it comes to what we've seen at the gas stations. The last time that was implemented was by Jimmy Carter, who is arguably one of the most failed presidents in history in his time in office. When he did that, we saw long lines at the gas pumps. Our parents' and grandparents' generation remembers that. These policies that she's trying to put in place have been tried and have been failed. She clearly didn't, she slept through history class because what she's trying to put in place isn't working again. So you're kind of cherry-picking policies that she's put out there as a response to failed policies. But my response quickly is just, why hasn't she tried to run on those policies when she ran as a presidential candidate in 2020 or when she was elected vice president that same year? It's pretty disappointing to see that.
Wow, that
really quickly, I want to ask you one more time. Can you name a single policy? Can you name one single policy? Because you completely didn't answer my question. Is it the tariffs?
I think he did, actually, Adam. I think he named quite a number of policies.
But also, President Trump has loved to put a small business administration together. He put that together for the first time, and he's made a very clear point that he's going to do that in his second administration.
Well,
because he's a businessman.
He's only referred to tariffs on Chinese exports, and by the way, price gouging laws exist in many states across the country.
Maybe you know what? I'm going to open up a TikTok account and so forth. And I'm going to follow you. I want you to follow me back. I'll give you all the information you need. And you know what? I'll give you a preview right now. No tax on tips. No tax on overtime. And for your mama and your daddy, your grandparents, no tax on Social Security. So that's actually, when you look at it, President Trump is like Oprah. He's giving something to everyone, including you.
Why didn't he do that his first 4 years, though? Why didn't he already do that? I can put the same question back
because
to
he
you.
was actually creating a foundation.
In 2018, the largest tax cut in modern American history.
and
he
more
created such a
people
good
went to
foundation
work.
that 92% of his advisors turned on him. All of his closest generals turned on him. He lost his vice president. What kind of person builds a foundation that they have to completely restart fresh their next administration? I mean, Brylan, can you tell me why Mike Pence isn't his VP anymore?
Adam, I appreciate you asking the questions, but I'm going to take the reins back since we're the hosts. I have some questions here. Brylan, in terms of the display we saw on Sunday with Tim Walz and AOC, what do you make of their back and forth on Twitch with Tim Walz saying that AOC could potentially be the Speaker of the House? Not to mention the fact that they did it on Sunday Night Football. I mean, how silly is that? They both lost in the game 0-0, which is much like Tim Walz when he tries to shoot birds. He's not able to do it.
Okay, so she says that Tim Walz and AOC both lost 0-0. That's important. That comes up later in the video. But did you guys notice how they gaslighted me straight up right there? They genuinely... Well, number one, the host began talking over the other guests so they both could get their points in at me at the same time. And then I was able to get my point in. So I guess that worked out well for me. But they genuinely said he just named multiple Trump policies when he didn't name a single policy. It shouldn't be that easy of a gotcha question, but I guess it is. Now watch the second half.
You know, Adam, the thing is, let's actually move off the shore of America and let's travel around the world. The reason why I say that is because when Trump was in office, we engaged in no new conflicts, no new wars. Under the current administration, one of which actually wants to receive a promotion to be president, under their collective watch, Biden and Harris, we're seeing conflict in the Middle East. I call it war, but you know, they haven't officially declared war. And then you have Russia and Ukraine, and then you have China actually threatening Taiwan, and so many other things that are going on in the world. So how is that coming across Twitch and all these other social media platforms? And what are Gen Z, actually, how do they view it? How are they digesting the information and forming their opinions?
Yeah, listen, Putin went into Crimea in 2014 under Obama, and Obama should have been stronger, but then Trump had 4 years to take action. He did nothing. And then after the fact, now Donald Trump plays buddy-buddy with Putin, and his peace deal necessitates ceding Ukrainian land, which kicks the can down the road to another administration. And if Donald Trump cedes Ukrainian land, that in turn emboldens people like Xi Jinping to look at Taiwan and say, hey, if I go on a land grab, I can probably get a little bit of ground. Look at, they let Vlad get a little bit of land. And I want to back up for a second, because you guys said that Tim Walz and AOC completely lost their Madden video
Adam,
game.
You a moment ago. No, I'm not going to let him talk. I'm going to actually direct him back to my question.
I was trying to,
because you actually accused Brylan of not answering the question. You sound like
I did answer
Kamala.
there. Yeah, for sure I answered there.
No, you sound like Kamala Harris. I'm asking, what does Gen Z think about Biden and Harris handling or lack thereof of all these conflicts around the world, and you pivoted to Trump, and he's not in office?
What do they think of Biden's handling? I think Gen Z has a diverse amount of views. You can't categorize them all into one group. So if you go on social media, it seems like a lot of Gen Zers are unhappy with the Biden administration's handling of the situation in Israel and Palestine. But if you actually poll Gen Zers, that's not very representative of us. A lot of us care more about the economy and care about housing than foreign policy. So don't get confused with TikTok and Twitter. It seems like Gen Z has an outsized representation of people who care about Palestine on those platforms. So I'd say largely foreign policy is not something we care about, but we'd much rather have somebody stable in office, not Donald Trump. And I do want to say, can I just answer this really quickly? When you guys said that Tim Walz and AOC lost in that Madden game, that's because they got distracted by Donald Trump's insane Madison Square Garden rally where they were making jokes about black people eating watermelons, calling Hillary Clinton the devil and the B word. And that's before Donald Trump even took the stage. They used all of this wild apocalyptic rhetoric. Maybe they got sidetracked.
Yeah, well, they're easily sidetracked. Even when in office and out of office, they're easily sidetracked by the
racist
lack
jokes,
of messaging, by the lack of policy, by the lack of vision. Braylon, in your opinion, what is Gen Z? They're focused on Jay-Z. They should be focused on the economy. What is Gen Z focused on right now?
And then notice the disparity between the questions they're asking me. They took a side tangent just to ask me about foreign policy, and then he wanted to press me even further and say that I didn't answer the question, and the producer in his ear said, let him answer. He said, no, I'm not going to let him answer. And then it goes back to Brylan, and they're like, so, what's your favorite color, man? What's Gen Z's favorite color, broadly? But you know what? That is the exact reason I went on on Newsmax, I knew that it would be like that, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot because I enjoy adversarial environments, and I think, and I truly do believe in Pete Buttigieg's philosophy that it's not a waste of time to try to reach people who are misled, to reach Newsmax watchers who just never hear this information. I already know a lot of people in the comments are going to be saying, Adam, you wasted your time. Adam, why would you ever do this? Well, number one, it only took me about 10 minutes. And number two, I got to speak to people who would never hear these facts otherwise, and now I get to put this video on my platform and further spread the word about VP Harris. I'm going to post it on TikTok. I'm going to post it on Instagram. I'm going to make sure that VP Harris's policies from this interview get spread. So if you guys appreciate what I do, drop a like, subscribe, have a great rest of your day, and peace out.